Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. I am back. Yes, I've had a few days off. The mouse in the house broke on Saturday, and I basically didn't get any work done over the weekend. So I've spent a few days catching up. I was also a little bit down in the energy level wasn't there. I was a little bit poorly, but I'm almost back to normal, and I'm back with half the show from Tuesday. But we obviously have a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things have happened. And maybe we're not going to go to $86,000. But we're going to have a look. This morning, we're going to have a look at, of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin. But we're also going to look at the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin dominance, I think we're going to look at as well. I did also throw in a couple of things that happened overnight, and this morning we're going to look at CoinGlass to go back over the history of Bitcoin. What happens in August and September? We're going to have a look at that. We're going to look at something I've called Surgency. Now, I've made this up. It probably already exists, but I've made it up, and it's called Surgency. We're going to have a look at Ethereum. When's it going to break $4,000? Today? Saturday? Next week, we're going to have a look at that. We're going to look at Genius, the Genius Act. We're going to look at Phantom. We're going to look at 3 coins to pick for August. And then we're going to look at Bonk, the coin. But as you can see on the screen, we've had a Wednesday off. We are back from next Wednesday with the Maple Quiz Night. Now, last month when we did this, it was a hybrid show. And we reduced the number of questions to 15. And we spent a bit of time looking at the price of syrup and some breaking news about Maple. What we're going to do is we're tweaking. You all know what that means if you're a gentleman when you tweak things. What we're going to do on Wednesday is probably look at 2 major events to do with Maple and the coin. And we're going to try and do that in 15 minutes. And then we're going to expand the quiz from 15 questions to probably about 25. Now, for KB, for Kishan, for Tariq when he turns up, for Bullish Bull, and of course Hidden Agendas, the number 1 target, we're probably going to aim at 20 to 25 difficult Maple Finance questions. They're not going to be easies, not going to be gimmies today. So that's what we're going to be doing. Make sure that you don't miss Wednesday night with maple syrup. Now, as well as that, we're probably going to do the following Wednesday and then the following Wednesday after that. So 3 Wednesday quizzes on the trot. Each Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central European Time, 6 p.m. in the UK. I think it's 5 p.m. UTC. We're going to be doing that. And good morning to you all who has just joined. I think Alpha is in chat as well. Good morning to you. Right, I suppose, having had a few days off, you think I'm rusty. I know you do. I know you think I'm rusty. I am not rusty. I have been catching up and making a lot of different video content. Good morning, Danny. For those of you that don't know, by the way, Danny is now an ambassador of Crypto Warehouse. So he basically keeps an eye on things on Twitter, puts out some bullish posts about the projects that we deal with, and he's basically ambassador number 1. So he was the first one we ever picked. And we kind of wanted him to apply before he did, if that's truth be told. Truth be told. Right then, let's get on and have a little look at where we are in the charts, shall we? Bitcoin coming in at 116,650. Don't be fooled. Okay, we're going to look at that in a minute. Ethereum sitting just below $3,900. Look at XRP. All the trees. Tree. XRP, we're going to cover why that's up so much in the next couple of minutes. I'm not going to say this because it will sound foolhardy, but look at the market cap of XRP and look at the market cap of Ethereum. If Ethereum goes to $7,000, for argument's sake, what are we looking at there? 700, maybe a bit more. No, we won't go to 700. Probably about 800, 900 billion. XRP, if it goes to the $7, $8 that I've kind of penciled in, it's not going to probably flip Ethereum, but it's not far off. And it has the bullish momentum. It's going to get the ETF this year. And of course, what I'm about to say is another reason why we're up so much today. So XRP, it's closing the gap, okay? A little bit like Man United on the top three. They're not going to finish in the top three this season, but with all of these new signings, they're going to close the gap. Maybe fifth, maybe eighth. The gap will be closed. And I think that's what XRP are. I think XRP are the Man United of the top 10 crypto assets. Now then, BNB coming in still below $800. Solana at $175. That's a decent price. Where is Cardano, my favorite? There we go. There we go again. 80 cents. It's as if it has an elastic band tying Cardano to these prices. Again, I don't even have to look. Hype is doing okay, back over $40. Sui is doing okay. That needs to probably be about $5 at some point in the near future. And this is some of the news we're going to talk about today is Chainlink. Chainlink is starting to do what Chainlink does. It's like Liz McColgan, okay? It sits at the back of the pack and it waits. And it waits and it waits. It waits for the last 200 meters of the race and then it comes flying around the corner. It's $19 today. It'll be $30 before you can say Liz McColgan won gold, okay? That's what Chainlink is going to do. Bitcoin Cash wouldn't touch that with KBs. Hedera, bullish ETF news. Avalanche. There's a lot of decent coins in here, by the way. Just because we only covered the top 10. Litecoin is going to get an ETF, will do okay. Avalanche is going to do okay. There's a lot of coins down here. Look at Ton has fallen out of the top 20. This was the coin that was going to take over the world, remember, if you listen to the experts out there. It's down at 21. Gainers then. I'm expecting XRP to be somewhere near the top today. Pendle. Try that again. Are we at the stage of the bull run where CoinMarketCap isn't working? Pendle is up 23%. They've just recently launched a brand new version. So that's up massively. That's going to do quite well. Lido is going to be up. Again, liquid staking on Ethereum is going to do really, really well. Stellar is flying. Look at Aerodrome. That's always been a coin that I think is going to do well in any bull run. It makes a lot of money. And look at the market cap. Below $1 billion. I think that's a good price. Chainlink, again, top 5 gainers. XRP, 7th top gainer. Decent. Anything else down here we like the look of? Virtuals, again, one of my picks for AI. Again, doing okay. Losers, not expecting too many bad losers today. Meme, meh. Monero, KuCoin is down. Tron is down. Athena, not many losers really, is there? Right then, I suppose we should look at some X-Files and see where we go from there. By the way, as I've been telling you now for the last week or so, as well as streaming on Binance Live and YouTube, we are also, while that loads, we are also streaming over here. We're streaming on Binance Square. Now, this isn't doing too well in terms of numbers, but it's technically not live yet. I think they called it Grey Live, whatever that means. I think it means that there's not much promotion going on here. Heavenflow, good morning. Ides, good morning. Marcel, good morning. I hope you're all well over there. And of course, hello to everybody who is on YouTube. Remember, if you are on YouTube, make sure to every once in a while you're falling asleep over your cup of coffee, to at least face palm the keyboard and type something. Because if you don't type anything, YouTube doesn't help us and doesn't promote us. So that would be quite useful. Now, I want to talk about something now, which is heroes and villains. And this is a little bit... I'm not really going to stick to the rules today because there's a lot to talk about. There are a lot of people in crypto in each cycle which are heroes. And probably before the end of that cycle and the beginning of the next cycle, they become villains. Now, this young gentleman here, Tom Lee, he's been around for a long time. No, he hasn't been in The Hangover. No, he doesn't tell jokes. He is a kind of an Ethereum maxi. His company is trying to buy, I think it's 5% of the supply of Ethereum or something like that. I can't remember which. And he's just popped up out of nowhere because he is giving you the bullish case. He's appearing on a lot of different shows. Obviously, CNN he's been on. He's been on the finance shows, CNBC. He's been on YouTube. He's obviously all over X. And he's here to basically bull post about Ethereum going to $25,000. Also now throws his hat in the ring to talk about Bitcoin, giving just random. I mean, I could sit here and say, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to hit $20 quadrillion soon, maybe in the future. And it's going to hit a few $100,000 sooner than it hits $1 million. And I predict it will hit 200,000 before it hits $1 million. So these people are very, very bright. Okay, I'm not making any assertions that they're not very, very clever people. Of course they are. CZ, very clever person. CZ says we're going to go to $1 million. I'm not casting aspersions on their level of intelligence. But some of these people are going to become villains. Michael Saylor, Tom Lee, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all of these people telling you all the things that you want to hear. Okay? We are going to go up at some point between now and the end of the year to a new all-time high. That is pretty much undoubted. Where I draw the line is at when these targets are going to be hit and the sheer capital that has to come into the market in the last 4.5 months, 4 months of the bull run to get us there. And again, you could be sitting here in February saying to yourself, why is Bitcoin only $160,000? Why is Bitcoin not at $250,000? Tom Lee told me we were going to be at $250,000. Why are we not at $250,000? That's what you're going to be saying. And everybody says it at the end of every bull run. Last bull run, we were going to $100,000. Where did we go? $69,000. So how far off the bull run did we hit? I don't trust Saylor as far as I can throw him. I don't trust him. I like him because he's great for promoting Bitcoin. And I know his plan. I think that's the difference, KB, for me, between Tom Lee and Saylor. Tom Lee wants to pump his Ethereum bags, and he knows pumping Bitcoin is going to pump his Ethereum bags. Hello to you, Ken, and In the Know. Welcome to you. So basically, Tom Lee is pumping Bitcoin to pump his Ethereum bags. Happy days. He also knows that if people buy the ETFs, now through the 401ks, we're going to talk about that in a minute, he knows that people won't just buy Bitcoin, they'll buy Ethereum. So he is basically going to crap post the hell out of everything he can. Saylor's strategy is to acquire enough Bitcoin to become a kind of credit hotel where banks, institutions, financial institutions, whatever it might be, they will borrow against their Bitcoin, or they will deposit their Bitcoin and try and tap into it. This is why we like Maple Finance, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner, one of our partners. And we like them because they don't hold any bones. What happens when a treasury holds 100,000 Bitcoin or 10,000 Bitcoin and it's got all that money locked up? What happens? They've got two choices. They sell it, which they're not going to do because it's the alpha asset. It's pristine, okay? So they're not going to sell it. So how do they tap into the treasury? They borrow against it. And who will they use to do that? They will use Saylor and they will use people like Maple Finance. That's how it's going to work. They're going to sit on Bitcoin knowing it's going to go up in value and they're going to lend against it, borrow against it. Litecoin's got a good chance, but remember the next two live ETFs are going to be XRP and Solana. They are pretty much guaranteed to be the next two. But after that, you're right, I think Litecoin is going to be the fifth ETF along the way. So I don't trust Saylor. I don't trust Tom Lee. These people are heroes until they become villains. And I can give you people from the last bull run who were heroes that are currently in jail. Sam Bankman-Fried What a hero. What a legend. Him and Sleepy Joe Biden were great buddies. He's in prison. Alex Mashinsky and Celsius. You put your Bitcoin with us. We will look after it and pay you 3, 4, 5%. What happened to him? He got sent to prison for 15 years. Again, or 11 years, I can't remember which. He got sent to prison for a long time. Again, hero became villain. There are more. We can talk about them as many. We can talk about as many of them as you want. Do Kwon, hero became villain. So there will be heroes today which are villains in 2 or 3 years' time. It happens every cycle. Don't believe this is not going to happen this time. Now, I can't pick the heroes and villains. Of course not. But there are going to be people who maybe over-leverage themselves into Ethereum or Solana, create a treasury. Solana price comes down in the recession that we're going to have next year, or the midterm crisis we have next year, and then they're going to have to liquidate their Solana. That's going to drive Solana through the floor. So those kinds of things will create villains. And then what will happen is, are the SEC going to turn around and say that was bad governance of the Treasury? Yes, they will. Will that person potentially do some time in prison? Potentially. Trump selects Bitcoin supporter Stephen Miran for the Fed Reserve Board of Governors. Now, again, Trump, I think, is potentially the number one hero to become a villain. There is a pendulum, and it swings between left and right in everything. Look at the state of the film industry. Everything that comes out at the minute, you have a superhero who could be just a random superhero. I've got to be very careful what I say here. I'm on very, very thin ice. But you know what I mean. There are superheroes who shouldn't be superheroes, and there are people playing superheroes who shouldn't be playing those superheroes. And that's because it's gone too far to the left. And what's going to happen next is it's going to swing all the way to the right, and we're going to have blonde-haired, blue-eyed actors and actresses, and that's what they'll be called in the future, that we won't have this actor thing. And that's will swing to the right, and then it will swing to the left. And in politics, we have the same thing. The more a party is on the left, the harder it swings to the right. The UK is the perfect example of what's going to happen with this. Now, this is not the end of the world. This is just the cycle. Financial cycles, political cycles, economic cycles, weather cycles, everything's in a cycle. And it's never the end of the world. You know, can you imagine what we're about to talk about today? Could you imagine that conversation 2 years ago? No, you couldn't, because it would never happen under Joe Biden. Trump is swinging this pendulum so far to the right that I think it's not going to be great for him in the long run. And I think he's going to be the biggest villain of crypto somehow, because he's going to fill the Fed with Bitcoin people. Now, that might be great for his bags and his son's bags and Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and Barron and all them. They're going to do incredibly well. But not if it drives the dollar to zero. It won't do the American public any good. Anyway. Now, again, I'm not going to do this every show, but the next level of adoption is, of course, we've onboarded a large group of individuals, the first movers. We're onboarding treasuries, T-bills, that's been done. We're now onboarding securities. We're now onboarding stocks. That's the next stage. Now, at the minute, Jupiter is trying to be all things to all men and women. And maybe that's not the right strategy. Maybe it isn't. But you can't just put everything under one roof and then expect it to work. You do have to have some level of specialization along the way. Stocks are the hot thing at the minute. They are on nearly every chain has access to stocks. And they're normally called things like X-Tesla or X-Amazon or Amazon Y or Tesla Y, whatever it might be. And they're basically synthetic versions of the underlying stock. It isn't quite working properly yet, but it's getting there. And this is the next big thing. Even Kronos Chain, which I love to death, even they have tokenized stocks. Now, of course, we're seeing exchanges, crypto exchanges moving into this field as well. This is the next big thing. Of course it is. But my next big thing, which I still believe is going to be the next big sea change, is going to be yield-bearing Bitcoin. That's my next big thing. Real-world assets we've been talking about for a year. AI we've been talking about for the year. What comes next? What comes next? Yield-bearing Bitcoin. That's what I think comes next. And there are so many people moving on this. Lombard, Maple, Core, Babylon, which is one of the backbones. Some of the ones that are partnered up with Bitcoin, such as Solve Protocol, they're all moving into yield-bearing Bitcoin. It's the next big thing. Now then, I take a different stance on this. Sold all my ETH before the 1400 to 3,800 pump. I feel empty. My life is miserable. If this man had bought his Ethereum at $140 and he 10x'd his money, why is he feeling miserable? At some point, you are going to have to sell your crypto. Okay? You are not married to it. There is no marriage certificate anywhere in your house showing that you are married to your Litecoin or your Solana. You're not married. And at some point, we're going to reach the point where these assets are overvalued. Peak FOMO. That's when retail, if they ever turn up and push the price of those tokens above and beyond where they should be. And you see that in real day, you see that in everyday life. Look at the Circle stock. Circle stock ran way too high. Happened with Coinbase, ran way too high. Speculation overtakes the actual performance of a stock. So for example, what I mean by that is I would value Solana with an ETF at somewhere between $300 or $400. That's the value I would give it. Based on what? Based on the market cap, based on the market share, based on everything else. So I think it should be probably double the value it is now. Do I think it's worth $1,000? Hell no. When it gets to $1,000 then, why am I holding something that's worth more than I think it's worth and probably is worth? I shouldn't, should I? So what should I do? I should take my profit and go to fiat. That's what I should do, and that is what you should do. And peak euphoria is where you think you're Warren Buffett. And every time the thought pops into your head during this bull run, I'm really good at investing, you should sell something. You should sell anything, just sell something apart from Bitcoin. Selling at $1,400 is fantastic if you have made a 5 to 10x. I don't care what the price of Ethereum goes to. If I sell my Ethereum for, let's say, $6,500, if I sell my Ethereum for $6,500, I have made an excessive six-figure sum out of it. I, therefore, don't give a flying monkeys if the price goes to $15,000 because the price that's gone to is the price I was willing to sell at. You cannot, under any circumstances, feel like this when you have sold your assets. You have to have a realistic belief in where you think the price of your assets is going to go to, and then you need to sell. Now, let's say this gentleman sold at $1,400, and let's say Ethereum, this bull run, runs up to $6,000. And let's say in a year and a half's time, it goes down to $900, for argument's sake. Did he sell the top? No. Is the value of Ethereum today below $1,400? Yes. So therefore, he was right. It was the right thing to do. Okay? Don't fall into this trap. I don't want any of you to hold on too long and then realize you've got bags of coins that are down 70%. I also don't want you to sell too early, or I don't want you to sell too early and regret it. Do I think selling, let's say XRP goes to $5 tomorrow, and you bought it at 40 cents, and you've 12x'd your money, why haven't you sold any of it? Why haven't you sold any of it? You put $1,000 into XRP, and it's now worth $12,000. What on earth are you doing if you've not taken some profits? What you're holding on for it to go to $14,000, $15,000. You've already made $11,000 profit. I'm not saying you should cash out. I'm saying you need to have a strategy for taking money off the market. Now, 3 rate cuts are expected between now and the end of the year. I think we are absolutely going to get these rate cuts. Now, good morning, Simon. Now, I just want to point something out about this. Me and Packer Salad, who watches the streams on catch up, so he's not live here now, so I'm not going to have a one-sided go at him, because that's not what I'm about to say. But we have this conversation about whether Powell should cut rates or not. And Packer believes he shouldn't cut rates, and I believe he should cut rates. And the reason is that I believe that the data they're using is wrong. And any decision you make on incorrect information is always going to be wrong, number one. And they use PCI, not CPI, or PCE and not CPI. They're using the wrong data. And this has kind of been uncovered by Truflation. They've done a lot of research on this. That's point number one. And point number two, not only are they using the wrong indicator, the indicator is 30 days out of date. So what they're saying is, they're saying that the rate decision they make in September is based on, let's say, August data. And it's not, it's on July's data. So they're a month out and it's the wrong information. So that's why I believe they have been wrong. Also, it doesn't just overnight start or stop an economy. It can take 6 to 12 months for these changes to take effect. If you know your car is driving towards the edge of a cliff and you know at 60 miles an hour your braking distance is 60 meters, do you wait to 61 meters to brake? No, you do not. You start to slow down at 100 and 90 and 80 and 70 meters. So by the time you hit 60 meters out, you might be going half the speed you were, okay? And then you can brake quite easily. That's not what Powell is doing. Powell is driving headlong towards that cliff, and he is going to brake at the last minute. And I think that is wholly, wholly wrong. The tariffs had no effect. American companies made more money than everybody predicted. The tariffs have actually helped America more than everybody predicted. So what does that tell you? It tells you the economists running the narrative have been wrong. Why have they been wrong? Have they been wrong because they're left-leaning and they don't like Trump? Or are they wrong because they don't know what they're doing? It's one of those two things, and I think Powell should have cut one cut in June. I'm not saying he should have cut it by 1%. I'm saying he should have taken his foot off the accelerator in June, not April, not March. I'm not saying he should have been doing it all year. I'm saying that there was a point where he crossed the Rubicon and he should have cut, and he didn't, and he should have done. And now we've got the point where they're doing 3 cuts at the end of the year. Why did we have to have 3 cuts at the end of the year? Why couldn't we have started in June? Oh, that's right, because you believed all the media when they were talking about the tariffs. Right, I'm going to re-go over this again, because I think I covered it, but not many people may have cottoned on to what I was saying. This is the average performance of Bitcoin every month since 2013. If you look at July, is this the Bitcoin chart? Yeah, okay. If you look at July, we've only had 4 red months in the history of Bitcoin. 4 red months. Then look at August and forget this month so far. In August, we've had 8 red, 4 green. So 2/3 of Augusts have been red and 1/3 have been green. Look at September. Guess what? Pretty much the same thing again. 8 red Septembers, but then look at October and then look at November, okay? Do you remember last year I told you to pack your bags in September? Do you remember? I said pack your bags in September. Look at what we've done for the last 2 Octobers. 28%, 11%. What did we then do in November? We did 9% and 37%. So, having had a really boring August and July, where we didn't really move that much, we had a cracking October and November. I think, again, look at 2021 and look at 2017. We're up a little bit in 2021. I don't think we're going any higher. I'm not here to tell you I've changed my opinion, by the way, because I'm going to show you the Bitcoin chart later. We're going to wobble around at this price from the beginning of August to the end of September and a little bit further down. What I'm showing you, though, is the patterns. The patterns are August and September historically have been worse than July and October and November. So if we're going to look for our Bitcoin pumps, it's October and November for me. It's not August. Now, if you look at 2021, yes, we went up 13%. If you look at 2017, we went up an awful lot. I'm ignoring that one because that's a ridiculous figure to compare it to. But if we did move up like 2021, where would we be by the end of August? We'd probably be at about $130,000. I don't think we're going to $130,000 in August because the rate cuts start in September. So maybe we have a run up. Maybe the strategic Bitcoin reserve is announced next week, the week after. All of those things are ifs, buts, and maybes. We have to look at the stats, and the stats say we're not going to do an awful lot for the next 2 months. But I want people to go and look at this. You can go to CoinGlass and you can go and look at these figures yourself. There's even one. I think we can press a toggle here for Ethereum. Now, the interesting thing about Ethereum is it has, obviously it's got a shorter lifespan, but it has a better Q1 than a Q3. So where we are now, it shouldn't be doing very well, but we're sitting at $3,900. So maybe we have a good month, maybe we don't. But we also have a better H1 than H2. So the first half of the year is always better for Ethereum than the second half of the year. So these things don't have to play out, but you should be using these to give yourself an indication of where you think the market is going to go, in my very, very humble opinion. And again, this isn't my information. You can look at this and you can see entirely different information, and that's perfectly fine. It's my opinion. Maybe you think we're going to go up 10%. Maybe we're going to be at 130,000 by the end of August. How can we go up 130,000 in August? Then are we going to go up again in September? What, 145,000 in September? Then where do we go in November and December? I just think we need that correction, bring us down so we can absolutely springboard towards the end of the year. Bitcoin surges past 116,000 with fresh institutional buying. What are we now today? 116,500. The cryptocurrency has gained 2% in the last 24 hours. I think this was from yesterday. It's recovering from its recent dip below 113,000, which we're going to show you in a second. The ETF activity, again, a lot of the volume of Bitcoin at the minute is ETFs. The same can be said about Ethereum. The same will be said about XRP and Solana when they get their ETFs turned on as well. So, technical picture strengthens above 116,000. Yes, yes, yes. We're going to look at the chart in a second. Will resistance break? For Bitcoin, the next decisive moment hinges on whether it can convincingly break above 117,000. The cost basis for short-term holders, a daily close above that level could trigger a wave of short covering and renew momentum towards the 120,000 range. Now, I'm going to show you the chart that I brought up. I actually don't know when I brought this chart up. I don't know if it was Monday or if it was last Friday. Can't remember which, but we'll bring it up anyway to show you because I basically just want to show you where we are. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well, sir. So basically, we have got, and I've drawn this myself. I've not seen anybody else draw it because I don't think anybody else is going to draw this. Make sure it loads properly first. Right, so this is the channel that we are in, what we on the daily, okay? Now, I drew this a while ago, maybe a week or so ago, and this is basically to show you what I think is going to happen until... Let's just give me a second. I am going to... There we go. Right, so there is my prediction, okay? That is where I think... I drag that over a little bit more. That is where I think we are going to start pumping, okay? And that is at the 14th of October, because we never pump on the 1st. Last year I was out by 2 weeks. Most of this year, I've been wrong by 2 weeks. So I basically just need to shift everything I say 2 weeks. Or you should just shift everything I say 2 weeks. And I think we are going to do this, okay? We're going to do basically something like that, okay? And then we're going to come down here. Maybe we come even further. Maybe we break down here and everybody thinks it's the end of the bull run. And then mid-October-ish, that's when we'll start, hopefully, the ascent towards Bitcoin all-time highs. Now, again, you can look at last year, which I think I've still left on. Yeah, there we go. I think I've still left it on from last year. The same kind of channel that we had last year. It started at a different time, but it did finish about the 13th of October. So we started earlier last year. We started in March pretty much. And this year we haven't started in March. This year we've started in July. Okay, so that's different. Of course it is. But I still think we're probably going to follow the same pattern. And we're, you know, again, last year we had these things. So even though I've drawn these lines, it doesn't mean we can't break below it. Below us here, we have, we have this thing here. This is the bull market support band, right? That's coming in at about 105,000. So that's where we might get wicks down to. So we could do that, potentially. So this isn't set in stone. It's just more of a guide of where I think we're going to go. Now, if this is wrong, if this is wrong, we need to break about 120,000, 119.6 to get out of this channel. But again, we need to do something like this. Okay? Otherwise, it's just a wick. And we don't want a wick, do we? We just want full candles. We want full send. I just don't think we're going to full send. So for me, I think any range between about 119 and 111, 112, I think that's the range we're going to be in. And that range is going to put in, I think I said this on Monday, I think what is likely to happen is we'll get some kind of rejection here, and that will then be our lower low, and that will then be our lower high. Okay? Now again, all of this can go out the window if Cynthia Lummis walks out and starts to wave a strategic Bitcoin reserve. For me, even though we know it's going to happen, that's still technically, for me, a white swan. Russia apparently has accepted a deal from America, which is acceptable. That will bring an end to that horrific incident in Eastern Europe. So that's out the window. Then we're left with one major incident in the Middle East, unless Taiwan disappears overnight. So there's always black and white swans knocking around that can absolutely ruin this. We you know, look at the tariffs. Nobody expected the tariffs. Trump did. Trump came in. We went absolutely through the floor. So all things being equal, that's the range that we're going to be in for the next 2 months, unless something dramatic changes in the market. And I can't predict that. I can only give you some ideas. And I think a strategic Bitcoin reserve is one of those things that can change the market. But if they're going to cut in September, it's not the start of September. It's going to be the middle of September, maybe September the 10th, September the 14th, whatever date that is. So that's why I'm expecting another 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Sideways, chop and down, chop and down, chop and down. And they will try and get you out of the market. Bitcoin is boring. Bitcoin is that uncle that watches trains. Okay? It's not very exciting. And then one day he'll be standing at the train line and a nuclear warhead will go past him and his eyes will prick up and he'll take pictures and he'll be famous for 5 minutes. Ethereum set for a breakout. Will it smash final resistance on the third try? Again, it's not so much about breaking 4,000. It's about breaking 4,000 and holding it. That's the problem that Ethereum has. We've seen it break 4,000. We saw it break 3,000. We saw it break 2,000. And it didn't hold. Breaking $4,000 is not going to do jot. Because what happens if we go to $4,050, $4,100, and we close the day at $3,900, and then the following few days we come down to $3,600, $3,400? It's not about breaking it, it's breaking it and holding it. That's the key. Turning that absolute mental block of $4,000 into support is the hardest thing Ethereum is going to have to do this bull run. Because it's like the whale. It's like the whale, Moby Dick's whale. It's there. It's like a phantom. And we've broken it, and we're like, hey, $4,000. And the next minute it's $3,600. And it's going to happen again. I guarantee it, unless something happens. Ethereum staking is on the horizon. That gets announced, $4,000. That's simple as that. $4,000 plus, because the money flowing into Ethereum is going to be legendary. ETH heading back to $3,800. The 4-hour chart shows a tall green candle that looks set to hit the 0.786 fib. Very shortly, this surge has lifted the price back into an ascending channel, which has the potential to top that important 4,100 resistance level. At the bottom, this lens, okay, right, forget that bit now. Zooming out, 4,100 horizontal resistance, with further resistance showing back in 2021. This has become an almighty level. It has indeed. It's like a whale, and will require a huge effort from the ETH bulls to break it. What is notable this time around as the price action keeps going back to test lower support, what could be happening is that the bull flag is forming. If this is a valid formation, a breakout of the top could easily provide the impetus to shoot through the huge overhead resistance. Again, it's so hard for Ethereum. But the one thing I'll say about Ethereum, I've said this to the Oracle many, many times, it's really easy to read Ethereum. It's easier to read Ethereum than it is to read Bitcoin, because it's like an honorable sensei. It goes to where the charts tell it to go to, the fib levels. It follows fib levels beautifully. We covered all of this back in 2023, 2024. So Ethereum is going to have another run at it. If it has another run at 4,000 and Bitcoin doesn't move, then of course the Bitcoin dominance is going to break down a little bit more. And could that see the alts rally a little bit? Probably. I mean, we could get a mini alt season in the summer, potentially. I think getting the ETH staking now in the next few weeks is going to be what breaks us above $4,000, $4,100, because it's a change. It's a change, and it's a new added impetus to the market. Right then, this is again what you would expect from Chainlink. Right, okay, so Chainlink launches data streams for US equities and ETFs to power secure tokenized real-world asset markets on chain. I believe it's for 29 different chains. I believe. Which is some major move. So this came out on the 4th, which was Monday. Chainlink is, of course, the de facto, the de jure. It's the alpha and the omega of all kinds of oracles at the minute. It's the number one dog. They basically provide data between different services, whether it be on Solana, whether it be on Ethereum. So if you want the price of the euro against the dollar, more than likely Chainlink will have that. If you want Tesla stock versus the pound, you will get that through Chainlink. And of course they do the Bitcoin price, they do the Ethereum price, and all that kind of thing. And they provide that information to you. So if you're a DEX on Solana and you've got Pyth, or if you've got Chainlink, then you can basically use them to show the prices so people can buy and trade against them. So they basically provide all of the data that you would trade any asset with. And of course, expanding their list of assets. There we go. It wasn't whatever I just said a minute ago. Did I say 29 or 39? It's 37 different blockchains. So you can basically now go to any of those 37 blockchains. And if there is a service there like Jupiter or like maybe Camino, they've got their own swap functionality now. If you go over to any of those 37 networks, in theory, you could hold Tesla on Solana. You could hold Circle on AVAX. You could hold Nvidia on Kronos. So that's why it's important that they have that. Okay? So with Chainlink data streams, fast, reliable, and context-rich market data, Tokenized financial products tied to the US equities and ETFs can now be launched directly on chain. And again, this is one of the reasons that we're going to see Chainlink really excel here. The difference between a lot of the projects that I talk about and a lot of the projects I don't talk about comes down to one thing, and that's the business case of that project. And I was talking to the Oracle about this a couple of nights ago. I've backed projects that I see value in. And when I mean value, I mean, do they have a valuable product that people will pay to use? And I stick by those projects. And those projects can have a great token price or a poor token price. But the projects themselves, I wholeheartedly believe in. And Chainlink, I bought 2.5 years ago. XRP, 2.5 years ago. Obviously, Ethereum and Bitcoin many, many years before that. Probably 8 years ago, I bought Bitcoin. 6 years ago, I think I was mining Ethereum. So you have to have conviction, but there has to be a reason for you to have that conviction. And Chainlink is the number one oracle. It's the number one oracle. There is no single competitor, or there is no competitor or group of competitors, that can come anywhere near Chainlink. And they've spent years building this. This is not an overnight success. 2021, they were absolutely railed on by their community. Absolutely railed on. They don't do enough. They don't talk us up. The roadmap's garbage. It's absolute trash. What are they doing? They don't know what they're talking about. It's crap. That was 4 years ago. And now, you ask anybody in crypto to name one oracle, they will say Chainlink. CCIP, moving value across different chains, CCIP. They are the glue. They bind everything together. Okay? So if you have all of your bags full of assets that you are happy with and you don't have any Chainlink, you should get yourself a touch, even though it's this late in the bull run, because all of the data of all of the stocks, all of the assets in crypto pretty much run through Chainlink. Now, it might not be that way in 4 years' time. In 4 years' time, they may have another competitor. Maybe Pyth catches up with them. But at this point in time, they are the top dog. They are the alpha, and that's who you need to be looking at. When you look at projects, you look at leaders. Who comes close to Chainlink? Nobody. Who comes close to Jupiter? Nobody. Who comes close to Ethereum? Nobody. Who comes close to Bitcoin? Nobody. So if you can sit there and say, I've picked 8 projects who have no decent competitor, who have massive market share and have a revenue stream, that's exactly what you should be looking for in anything, in any walk of life, including stocks. Okay? If somebody has an absolute dominant position and their share price is not overvalued, then they're a no-brainer. And for me, Chainlink is one of them, and I will stand by that. Now then, this is going to be an interesting situation for me, and I wanted to pick this up. Even though it's got Coinbase and we stream on Binance, it's an educational point, and this is what I need to cover. And that is this. The Genius Act, and I'm not going to go through what it stands for, but basically it's to create a set of rules for stablecoins. And one of those rules is very simple. You are not allowed to offer yield on a stablecoin. And that's where yield-bearing stablecoins, for example, that's where they will excel, because the likes of Tether and Circle, for example, they are not allowed to compete with you. So Maple Finance has Syrup USDC. It's 10x'd in 3 months. Why? Because Tether can't compete and Circle can't compete. And I said, maybe a couple of weeks ago, if I was Tether or I was Circle, I would create a second yield-bearing stablecoin that falls outside of the remit of the Genius Act. That's what I would do, because you're giving up such a huge market share that Maple is going to come in and gobble up $10 billion, $20 billion of market. And at the minute, that's quite a substantial amount. But PayPal and Coinbase are going to try and offer stablecoin rewards despite the prohibitions. Now, this is the issue. PayPal's PYUSD is probably going to try and fall under the Genius Act and offer rewards. USD1 from World Liberty Finance, they're going to try and offer rewards for holding and using it. So there's going to be a way around it, but it's not really cricket, is it? It's not really how you should be playing the game. So key phrasing in the Genius Act permits payment platforms and crypto exchanges to continue to offer yield to holders despite bans on issuers doing the same. Top US companies like Coinbase and PayPal have recently doubled down on offering customers 3 to 5% rewards on stablecoin deposits. The Act passed last month prohibits stablecoin issuers from offering yield to holders. But Coinbase no longer issues USDC, and PayPal lets a third-party company issue its native PayPal token. I mean, come on, close the loophole. Permitting both firms to continue offering lucrative rewards to stablecoin customers. The Genius Act, which formally legalizes approved stablecoins in the US, was signed into law last month, now prohibits stablecoin issuers from engaging in the increasingly common practice of offering users passive yield, typically between 3 and 5% on stake or deposited balances. Leaders ultimately deemed the incentive program too lucrative, arguing stablecoins should be greenlit as a payment currency, not as an investment product. And I am actually, believe it or not, wholly on board with that. I'm wholly on board with that. If you are Tether and you are Circle, what backs your stablecoin? Gilts, treasuries, T-bills, notes, whatever it is in America. Okay, I get that. So they have to buy more and more of that. And they get paid out for 4.5%. Now, I think they're two separate things. I think a yield-bearing stablecoin should not be seen as a currency, and USDC and USDT should. And I think the thing is, it makes life really complicated if you don't know what you're doing, and you go along and you suddenly buy Syrup USDC, and suddenly your money's going up in value. You've got no idea why, okay? Because they're all classified together. Syrup USDC falls outside the remit of the Genius Act because it's not going to try and get legalized. PYUSD, I don't care if it's issued by a third party, it's their brand. I don't care if USDC is not with Coinbase. It's still morally wrong, in my opinion. You should have a absolute dividing line, in my opinion. The aftermath, what gives? On quarterly earnings call last week, leadership at Coinbase and PayPal promised shareholders that both companies will remain committed to offering enticing rewards programs to stablecoin holders, despite prohibitions against stablecoin yield in the Genius Act. I mean, what they could do to get around this in a fairer way is to offer potentially a return on your portfolio or loyalty points, which is what World Liberty Finance are doing. World Liberty Finance are offering incentives for you trading using, I didn't type that in right then, for using their coins. So you know what? Yeah, I'm not on board with it at all. Not on board with that. Right. I'm going to get this article up if it kills me. Phantom acquires Solana trading terminal SolSniper. Now, again, Phantom started off on Solana, started offering basically a really cool, nice interface, shows your NFTs. They built out some really good security features, blocking you from going to from phishing sites and stuff like that. They're really, really cool. Then they started to offer trading. You can actually trade more now than at any other point in Phantom's history. You can actually go long. You can use perps over there now. It's a really good app, and it's going multi-chain as well. It's got Ethereum on there, Base. It's got Bitcoin on there. You know, it's becoming an all things type of platform. Acquiring SolSniper is a little bit of a stretch from what they used to do. What they used to do was basically, it was retail trading. So if I had some dust, I had some bonk $1 a bonk that I didn't really need, there's no point going to Jupiter or sending it to Binance. I'll just trade it in the Phantom wallet. So it's convenient. Even though the spread is a lot higher, it's convenient. And now they seem to be moving into more of a competition with the likes of Radium, with the likes of Orca, certainly into competition with the likes of Jupiter. Bonk has its own trading platform, so now does Pump.fun. So they're starting to look a little bit like a competitor. Now, I understand why they're doing this, by the way, because Jupiter launched its own mobile wallet. You can now get your Phantom wallet. It can sit on your mobile phone. It can sit in your browser. So they have they have competition where they didn't have it before. And apparently the Jupiter wallet is fantastic. So they're now starting to go into a little bit more of a deeper dive into trading. And again, how long do I have left? I don't have a problem with this as long as the app doesn't get too complicated. That's what I would say. Anyway, we're going to move on because we don't have a lot of time. We've got 2 articles left. This one should be fairly easy. This is 3 to watch. Again, we try and do the show in an hour. If you're new here, if you've never heard of Crypto Warehouse, you need to subscribe. We are the only place that try and tell you how it is, not how you want me to tell you how it is. So make sure to give us a follow. It was a bit of a shame last night. The Oracle stream didn't hit the algorithm. So if you do like trading and you do like charts, the Oracle trades 3 times a week now. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. Central European time. If you want to know about what your favorite coin is going to do, go and watch one of the trading streams that the Oracle does. We do the daily news on here, and I basically berate most people most of the time. Very few times am I ever happy or positive, even when Bitcoin breaks $100,000. I don't seem to be that happy. All right, 3 altcoins that could hit all-time highs in August. Again, I don't agree with this guy, but doesn't mean he's wrong. It means I don't agree with him. I'm going to go through his 3 coins, and I'm going to give you this in this order. Snog, marry, and avoid. Okay? Snog, marry, and avoid. 3 coins in a minute. Let's have a look at what he's got. 3 coins. BNB, top gainer. Totally agree with that. 12% below its all-time high. It got to, what, 840, 830. BNB, solid project. Absolutely. Totally agree with that one. Moving further down, Hyperliquid at $40. Ooh, tough call. It's gone from nowhere to almost in the top 10. It's what now, 12th. It's done incredibly well. All-time high was $50. And the third coin is Tron. Tron is like a bad smell. Imagine you had a dog, and the dog went outside in the rain and got wet. And then it came down and it lay on the rug. And now that rug smells of dog. And no matter how many times you send it to the dry cleaner or wash it or add Febreze to it, that rug will always smell of dog. That is Tron. Tron is the smell of dog in a rug. Okay? So, in this order, I would snog BNB, because I don't think it's got a lot left to run. I would marry Hype, because it's the trendy thing, and even at $40, maybe it runs to 100, who knows, but it's got more growing room than BNB. BNB is a larger market cap. It's over 100 billion. And I would absolutely avoid the smelly rug. Okay? Now, I don't mean it's going to be a rug. I'm not saying they're going to rug pull. I'm calling it a rug that smells like a wet dog. Okay? So, I would snog BNB, marry Hyperliquid, and avoid Tron. They're my 3 picks for you. Again, they're my 3 picks. That doesn't necessarily mean they should be your 3 picks. At the end of the day, nothing I say on here is financial advice. This is solely for education. That is all I do. And again, please feel free to absolutely disagree with me. We have far too many people in this world that will not listen to other people's opinions. So if you think I'm an idiot, if you think I'm wrong, if you think we're going to $150,000 next week, challenge me and we'll have a conversation in chat. I don't have a problem with that at all. Okay? Now, you can come on here and you can call me bald and you'd be right. You can call me blind and you'd be right. You can challenge me on the price of Bitcoin and then it becomes a conversation. Because until it goes to where you think it will go to or where I think it will go to, it's a conversation. I am absolutely certain there are people in chat that have a different price for the end of this bull run for Bitcoin than me. And there is a bloody good chance that some of those people in chat are going to be more right than me. Okay? The only difference is I've got a camera and a microphone. That's the only difference. Okay? You all have your own opinions. And that is how it should be, okay? In every walk of life, you should have an opinion. And that's why I back Mantra, by the way, because I have my own opinion on them, and 99% of the universe is completely against them. I don't care. Let's Bonk overtakes Pump.Fun as Solana's meme token king. Now, I would have used David Bowie or a meme of David Bowie to advertise this, because he had quite a famous duet called Let's Dance. And I would have used David Bowie. He also had a thing with Tina Turner, which we're not going to go to on here because it's a PG channel. But him and Tina Turner did all kinds of very unsightly things to each other. And I would have gone with a Bowie link on this. I would have called it Let's Bonk. Now, I'm not a fan of Pump.Fun or Let's Bonk or the other one that Radium have launched, okay? We will always get good coins coming out of these types of things. But was it Muhammad Ali who said, if there was 100 snakes coming towards you, if you knew one of them was going to bite you, you wouldn't go near any of them? I think that's what he said. Well, these types of platforms, 99 of the snakes want to bite you, and one of them will become your pet. Do you take the risk of finding that one snake that's not going to bite you? Or are you going to get bit 99 times before you find that snake? That's what you got to ask yourself. Do you want to be a meal for a snake, or you just want to walk away? Okay? Like Craig David. I would rather be like Craig David than David Bowie in this instance. Not in most instances, although Craig David is alive and Bowie is 8 foot under. So maybe there is something to be said for that. Now, the meme coin market, again, I think this is going to die the same way that NFTs have died. I think that, we're not going to read any of that, by the way, because we haven't got time. What I would say is, hello to everybody on Binance Square. I hope you're doing really, really well. What is my plan for a live? New person. Hello, everybody. Hello. I hope you're all doing well. Right, I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go full screen for the last. I've actually overrun. Right then. Very quickly, I'm back on Monday. I've had Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday off, but I haven't. I've been ill, and I had all of the work. Basically, from about Saturday, my mouse didn't work. Have you ever seen the film Falling Down? Where Douglas is in his car trying to get to work and there's a traffic jam, and he ends up with a rocket launcher trying to blow up a helicopter. That's how his day ends up. That was me trying to get a mouse last week. I tried to buy a mouse. The shop didn't have anybody in the warehouse to give me the mouse, so I had to wait. I then went, I can't wait, and I went to another shop who had a battered box with a mouse in it. And I bought the mouse and brought the mouse home, and the mouse was that big. Okay? It was tiny. It was like the Simpsons sketch. You know, the massive guy who sits in the little tiny car? That was me with that mouse. Couldn't use it. Wednesday, I think... No, what day is it today? Friday. Yeah, Wednesday I got a mouse. So I had fantastic film. It is fantastic film. If you've never seen Falling Down and you're a man, you need to watch that film, because that sums up society as a man. You spend your entire life trying to remain calm these days. Anyway, I didn't have a mouse till Wednesday, and then I had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday's work to do. And it took me forever to do it Wednesday and Thursday, so that's why I didn't stream. I was too busy trying to catch up. But I should be back on Monday. I am going to next week. I'm going to try and stream Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is Maple. Wednesday night is the quiz with Maple Finance. Thursday night Brogan will stream, and Friday I will stream. So next week we will have. I think we do 7 streams a week in total, not every day. I think Sunday's the only day we don't have a stream, because the Oracle streams on Saturday, and he streams on Thursday, and he streams on Tuesday, and I stream on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Wednesday with the Oracle. So there's a lot of streams. If you don't know who we are, follow us. For the love of all that is holy, follow us, because you don't get this content anywhere else, and I know because I watch it. My favourite bit in that entire film was the can of Coke. That's my favourite part at the beginning, and he's losing his marbles, and then the gang. I mean, it just it's one of those films I just laugh at. I laugh at most of the film, It's just a great film. But anyway, if you don't follow us, you're crazy for not following us. Because as I said, I watch nearly everybody else. Altcoin Daily, George. Who else do I watch? Crypto Banter. I watch all of them. None of them are anything like us. That doesn't make us better, by the way, but they're not like us. And what you need to do is have a different opinion. And we should call our channel Crypto Warehouse the Different Opinion. That should be our name, because we don't follow the herd on anything. Okay? If we think something is crap, we will say it's crap. Simple. If we say something's crap and then they change it and it becomes good, we will say it's good. We will change our mind. Of course we will. So make sure you give us a follow. If you're watching this on Catch Up Packer, thank you for being a supporter, even though we're in a different time zone and you're in New Zealand, whatever. And one other thing, which I will say, I picked my Premier League prediction and I've put it on X. So one of the tags you will see is my X account. So if you go and you leave your 3 predictions underneath, I am going to give you a prize. Okay? We are working with a company who keeps sending me money to give away to you. And we're going to make a giveaway Telegram group. And what we're going to do is Simon's in chat, and I've not spoken to him about this yet, but we're going to advertise Simon's poker night in there because it's a great poker night. We're going to advertise all the giveaways that we do on X. We're going to advertise all of our quiz nights that we do on Binance. And we're going to advertise that group. Once I've added a little bit more content to it, once I've added a few more giveaways to it, I'm going to announce it. And then you'll be all in. Anyway, there was one other thing. Which coin will you hold for the rest of the bull run? The options were ADA and XRP. 73% said XRP. So let's get this right. If ADA goes to $3.20, that's a 4x. For XRP to go that high, it will have to go to $13. Are you telling me that you think XRP is going to go to $13? I'm just asking. Anyway, I've gone for ADA, and I think Kishan went for ADA. XRP will do well, but it may only go to $7 or $8, and we're at $3.50, $3.40. So it's only going to 2x probably from here. ADA only has to 3x from here, which puts it at $2.50. I think it's certainly going to go to $3 if we get peak FOMO. So anyway, you are all wonderful people. I mean that sincerely. I'm sorry that I missed a few days, but I didn't realise how tired I was until I think yesterday morning when I woke up, and I hadn't felt that refreshed in forever. I must have been burnt out because I stream nearly every day, and if I don't stream every day, I'm making videos every day. So I think that the break did me good, and I was ill. But anyway, thank you, Bullish Bull, Manjeet, KB, Simon, everybody else. I've missed everybody. Danny, I've missed everybody. I can't read everybody's name out these days. There's too many people. Anyway, one last thing I want you to do on a Friday. I want you to send one person our channel. Either send them our Twitter account or send them our YouTube channel. Just one person, okay? Because if you do, and there are 60, 55, 60 people in here, if you do, that might give us 10 or 15 more subscribers. And it'd be great to get to about 7,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the year because YouTube is finished. So please do that and have a great weekend. Take care. I will see you on Monday. You wonderful, wonderful people. Ciao.